It's all been rigged. The last 4 years have gone down the drain for crypto as the political partisan swamp over at the White House, the SEC, the FDIC, the Fed, and even the OCC have done everything in their power to hinder the progress of crypto and companies like Ripple and XRP. And it was recently revealed that this was all orchestrated by one person, and some new information surrounding this high profile issue was recently exposed on the Joe Rogan podcast. And no, Gary Gensler is not the main culprit, although he seems to be public enemy number one. There is someone deeper in government that seems to be pulling the strings for their puppet masters, lobbyists, and the large banks. But it's all coming to light now, and their time is coming to an end. So in this video, we'll be covering who this person is and what they've done. We'll cover how top lawmakers in Washington are setting things right. We'll obviously be diving into the segment from the Joe Rogan podcast. And of course, we'll dive into the recent price action on XRP so you have a firm grasp on what's coming next for markets so you can prepare. And as always, if you're feeling blessed and bullish, comment 777. And if you're going to be the richest person in your family tree, smash the subscribe button. Before we dive in, a quick reminder that the opinions in this video are for informational and educational purposes only and do not constitute financial, legal, or investment advice. All investments, including cryptos, carry risks and potential losses. Always do your own research and consult with a licensed financial advisor. We are not licensed financial advisors, and relying on our content for financial decisions is at your own risk. By watching this video, you agree we are not responsible for any losses or damages, and we do not guarantee any specific results or outcomes. Some of the links below may be affiliate links, and we may earn a commission, which actually helps support this channel and helps us to create value-based videos like this. We also hold some positions in the cryptocurrencies that we talk about, but that's only because we do what we believe in. However, this should not be interpreted as a recommendation for you to do the same. With that said, let's get into the video. Now, we know that Gary Gensler has been the main opponent to Ripple and XRP as the SEC lawsuit lasted about 4 years, and come October 7th, we are expecting that there be no appeal, but that is very hopeful considering Gary Gensler has basically attacked everyone left and right. But it's not just Gary Gensler, it's the entire federal government and virtually all of the agencies surrounding government. Now, there are many theories as to why this happens, which we're going to cover here shortly, but you can even see this was in November 2023, and America's biggest crypto crackdown in history was occurring. Just this last year alone, they went ahead and sued Kraken, which is operating legally in the United States. They went ahead and sued OpenSea, which serves customers from an NFT standpoint through art, which is ridiculous. They sued Coinbase, which is publicly listed company in the United States. Things are absolutely out of hand. And even the Fed rejected Custodia Bank, saying the digital asset bank Custodia sued the Fed in June of 2022, claiming an unlawful delay in processing an application for its master account. Basically, this was a bank that was designed to service crypto, and they basically did the exact same thing any other bank in the world would do, but for whatever reason there was politics at play and they delayed this unlawfully. In the US, we've been so behind the ball, and the last 4 years have been lost a lot to political partisanship and a swamp. And Gary Gensler gets a lot of the attention. However, it doesn't all start with him. However, here is a recent video from CNBC where he's basically just spreading misinformation and lies and total garbage. Let's listen to what he said.
Let's talk crypto for just a moment. I don't want to say that you're enemy number one of the industry, but critics might say that. And we've seen such a change in tone.
Kelly, I don't know what you said.
On the presidential race. Listen, this is just, I have a lot of people in town who work for these companies, and they'd love to see clearer rules that could kind of govern the industry. Your term is up, I think, in 2026. Now, Trump, for sure, and to some extent, Harris, everyone seems to be warming up towards mainstreaming crypto as an industry. What should we expect, if anything, more from your agency on that front?
we're going to continue to try to protect the investing public. This is a field that's rife with fraudsters and scammers and grifters. It just has been.
You know what is so funny about him sharing something like that? If anyone is a grifter and a fraudster and has harmed the crypto industry as a whole more than anyone else, except for the person that we're going to talk about in this video, it is Gary Gensler, considering that he is under investigation by Jim Jordan, Patrick McHenry, and James Comer for engaging in suspected political favoritism in his hiring practices. In other words, if someone, right, didn't share the same political views, which he had questionnaires surrounding those political views to kind of filter and sift through potential candidates, then they weren't given a job over at the SEC. He wanted people in positions of power and to have authority in his agency that were not crypto friendly. That said, I don't want to spend the majority of time in this video talking about Gary Gensler, but again, at this point, I wouldn't put it past him to file an appeal, considering it only takes 15 minutes. Now, many people have been speculating, well, why haven't they done it already if it's so simple? Well, I would argue it's because he likes harming the industry. I mean, I really think this guy gets off on it. So if anything, he might get everyone's hopes up and then file it last minute, saying, you know what, we changed our minds, we're trying to protect investors. Who really knows? But it really doesn't take that long to file an appeal. They still would have to prepare their appeal, but that doesn't mean that they can't file it in a very short period of time. Here's the chief legal officer of Ripple basically stating, we're ready and prepared to pay the $125 million settlement off our balance sheet. Basically in cash, we're good to go. Now, under Trump, Gary Gensler would be 100% out of a job. He would not last until 2026. The good news is, even if Trump didn't get into office at this point, it does seem that Kamala Harris promises to help grow AI and digital assets if elected president. So I do believe at this moment in time, both political parties up until November at least have to play ball with the crypto communities, considering the fact that they're going to lose a lot of voters if they don't. So I don't know if Gary Gensler is going to file an appeal. Ultimately, it is up to him, not Kamala Harris, but I do believe these types of people feel a lot of pressure from the people that pull the strings over at the White House. Now, exactly who is pulling the strings over at the White House? Well, here is an episode of Wealthion, and here we have Anthony Scaramucci, who is the founder of Skybridge Capital, which is a venture capital arm in the crypto world in particular, and then Caitlin Long, a woman who's been attacked consistently by all of these federal agencies as the CEO of Custodia Bank, which we mentioned earlier. And here's what they have to say and who's pulling the strings.
See, for me, I'm going to say this to you. I think Elizabeth Warren is one of the most powerful people in Washington. You say she's never passed a law. She's ineffective as a U.S. senator representing her state, but she has figured out a way to get her acolytes and minions into the White House, into Treasury, into the Fed, into the SEC.
Correct.
The result of which her agenda is being prosecuted through the administrative state. What's your reaction to that?
It's 100% true. And I didn't know that until Custodia was unlawfully denied by the Fed. And it was a very public denial in January 2023. For your listeners, the most important piece is that we started to have insiders come forward as early as that weekend to tell us this was all Elizabeth Warren who orchestrated the whole thing, and that she was pulling the puppet strings at the White House and at the Fed and at the SEC and the FDIC and the OCC, so these federal regulators. And it took me a while to figure out what was really going on, but I think it's now not even a secret. It's openly acknowledged that she had a deal with Biden, that she dropped out of the race in 2020. I can't prove this, but it's, again, now openly known. She dropped out of the race in 2020 and endorsed him if she got control over financial services and economic policy, including all of the political appointments. There are enormous separation of powers problems with this, to your point. History is going to vilify her and vilify Biden for what they agreed to here. It was never disclosed to the public. Had people known that she was going to be the acting president of the United States in this area, in these areas, they would not probably have voted for him. It was a close election. But the press didn't do its job, and apparently she and Biden kept that secret, and he is an old school politician where he apparently keeps his word. And multiple people have confirmed, including insider Democrats, that That was a one-term deal. So even if Biden had been reelected, that she was not going to be able to keep that power. Warren has put her acolytes deep in these departments, and there's going to have to be not just a house cleaning of the political appointees, but the senior staff levels. And I just saw an article this morning that there's been an allegation of Gary Gensler having a political litmus test for job seekers at the SEC. And I absolutely believe it. I think that's been across all of the financial services agencies. So whoever wins, even if it is Harris, she's not in alignment with Warren. She's got to do some serious house cleaning, because it's going to take at least a year for whoever wins to get all these people out and get the policy changed. It's gone pervasively. I won't even share some of the details that I know of just how deep it's gone into these agencies. It's nuts.
And it's true. Elizabeth Warren is actually public enemy number one for crypto, as a sudden Capitol Hill momentum boost for the digital currency industry has come from a surprising source. The Democrats are now getting behind crypto. Now, one could argue that's probably from super PACs like Coinbase and A16Z and all of these major players donating tens and $100+ million to the 2024 election is something we call lobbying. They're really trying to shift the tides of this ocean right now that has been against crypto over the last 4 years. But you have some pretty interesting people coming forward in support of crypto now, considering Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, right? Who's an old dude and probably doesn't understand crypto as much as Donald Trump really doesn't understand crypto. Ultimately, this is becoming more of a bipartisan issue, and it's going to continue to be an issue as long as these Warrenites hold positions at each one of these financial regulatory bodies. A total of 32 Democrats voted with Republicans in recent days to send the SEC crypto rollback to Biden's desk, which leads me to this episode from the Joe Rogan podcast, where he interviews a guy by the name of Robert Epstein, who actually did a lot of investigative journalism into the major tech companies, one being Google. And Google holds so much power, it has become a monopoly. Now, what's really interesting is maybe Warren is on the right side of history in this one, but she also wants to break up Google. She sounds very much like a power-hungry communist who ultimately doesn't want any company or anything to have power outside of her and her friends in positions of power. That said, Robert Epstein found that when she started to attack Google, they started to attack back. And here's what happened.
So what this is mean bias, and what is this bias showing? Is this bias just negative stories about Elizabeth Warren, like her pretending to be Native American and that kind of stuff?
Yes, in fact, that other one that you were about to put up that has the red graph at the top and then below it has a bunch of news stories?
That one?
This one.
Okay.
If you can enlarge it and scroll down. So these bars aren't just bars. These bars are summarizing content. Thousands and thousands and thousands of web pages that they're sending people to.
And so they're sending people mostly, are you saying right-wing centered content?
Well, look at the stuff.
So basically what Robert Epstein is saying is that Google itself, typically a left-leaning or liberal company and organization, is now skewing the results, and we're talking over thousands of results, to actually negatively paint Elizabeth Warren because they don't like her attacks on Google, which is ultimately a major win for crypto, considering now a lot of super PAC money has been flowing to her opponent, John Deaton. And it seems that he's actually now beginning to start to take a lead in this Senate race. Deaton accuses Senator Warren of big bank favoritism. Warren decried how banking executives deserved prison time for causing the great financial crisis. And this was back in 2008. Yet she supported the bailouts. 12 years ago, she promised she would go to Washington to hold these bankers accountable. A decade later, those same bankers write her bills, and we're talking bills in Congress. Now, the good news is Deaton is actually a pro-crypto lawyer, and right now he is in a race to beat Elizabeth Warren. So this is a massive seat that will set the stage for crypto regulation moving forward. That said, John Deaton also exposes the SEC's misconduct in the Ripple versus the SEC lawsuit. This is the type of guy that we want sitting in office over there. So this is a big one, folks, because John Deaton in a recent YouTube video claimed that the SEC's legal team intentionally misled the court during the Ripple lawsuit. And even at one point in time after the Binance lawsuit, they were basically saying, you know what, we never actually thought that cryptos were securities or anything like that. That was just, hearsay. It was just a term that we used, crypto asset security or digital asset security. According to Deaton, the SEC's actions went beyond typical legal strategy, crossing into unethical territory. So everything now is coming to light. Everything is getting exposed. The SEC and Gary Gensler are getting exposed. Elizabeth Warren is getting exposed. And I do believe 2025, no matter who's in office, is going to look a hell of a lot better for crypto. Although I do believe under Donald Trump, it'll look even better, considering not only will Elizabeth Warren have less power and control over these agencies, because currently under the Biden-Harris administration, they are, but at the end of the day, even if Harris is in, I think it will make it slightly more difficult for someone like Elizabeth Warren to operate completely uncontrolled. That said, I do believe Gary Gensler would remain in office through 2026, which would really harm the crypto industry as a whole. So ultimately, we're hoping for Donald Trump from the crypto standpoint, and this is massive news either way. So this entire last week and a half, we've been in a very tight range on XRP. The good news is we have failed to break back down below the 56-cent range, considering the fact that we have 1 and 2 very strong long wicks, and then we have a long strong wick to the upside on September 21st, where we saw a price of 61 cents, which is actually interesting and coincidental to the fact that we already saw price action close right below this range. So this seems to be our next small resistance, but realistically, the major resistance of this entire range is going to be somewhere up here at like 63 cents. So I would argue that is the range that we need to break above. The good news is, from the price action perspective, we are starting to get into a tight little range here. As you can see here, price action is very, very thin throughout. Yes, we have wicks on both sides. Yes, we have a few candles with a breakout, only to see it break back down and trade right back in this range on average of 58 cents. So whenever you start to get a squeeze like this, where volume is also extremely low and below average, typically you start to get ready or prepped for a break. And usually the price will break to whatever the market is trending in. And in this case, we have not yet seen a direct uptrend. However, we are starting to see a series of higher lows. So I would argue, even if we started to break back down to 56, 57 cents, if we saw more dip buyers somewhere in this range at 54 cents to 56 cents, only to see the price close right back in that 57 to 58 cent range, then it's extremely likely we're going at least into this little box or zone up here for 61 to 63 to 64 cents. Yes, it is a range. You can never be too certain, considering at one point in time the price broke to 65 cents only to get sold right back off to 62. It happens. So that's why wicks are really important to look at, because they tell you a story. That said, it looks like we're trending up. It looks like we're ready to get some, price action to the upside all the way up to at least 74 cents on a breakout. And from there, I do believe it's smooth sailing straight up to at least $1.50, $2. Okay, from there, you'll likely be watching these videos and we will discuss the price action when it reaches those ranges. But until that time, right now, the ranges to look at realistically are going to be by anything from 56 to 54 cents. And by the way, that is with a disclaimer. You are in charge of your own money, right? We could be completely wrong. However, this is what I will be doing. And I will be looking at targets of at least 62 to 63 cents. I'm going to watch that closely. If we break above this range with some volume, and volume to confirm, considering we're below average right now, the volume should look more like this. okay, then it's easy all the way up to 74 cents. That's not even a question in my mind. The good news is from the 74-cent range, I mean, we're talking even from like a weekly time frame, you know, we have a decent amount of resistance there going all the way back to July of 2023. So we've been in this range for over a year now. And again, the longer the range, the stronger the breakout. We have so much support right here at the 45-cent range. I doubt we're breaking here anytime soon unless we get some sort of an economic collapse, but things are looking really good for XRP, even from a weekly perspective. Look at how tiny this candle is. So then really what you want to focus on, because there's indecision here, is the direction of the trend. And right now we do look to be trending up. So if you enjoyed the video and learned something new, be sure to subscribe, like the video, it helps us out. Also leave me a comment. Let me know what you'd like to hear more of, what you don't like, whatever. I don't really care. I just want to make sure that I'm serving you guys to the best of my ability. That said, head on over to bullrunners.com if you are an XRP holder or plan to hold XRP through the rest of the year to discover how to earn more crypto in less than 10 minutes with the #1 play to earn XRP game. You can do it in 3 very simple steps, right? You get your game pieces, you get an XRP wallet, and then you play the game and you get to earn crypto, which is directly convertible for XRP. So not only does it reduce your volatility in the case we get some downside, but it also allows you to stack up on that XRP bag into the end of the year bull run. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Head down to bullrunners.com. Link is in the description below. We'll see you next time.